Here's something that most people scanning university lists right now are completely missing. While the global conversation about higher education is dominated by American Ivy Leagues and British red bricks, Germany has been doing something quietly extraordinary. And in 2026, the numbers have finally caught up to what insiders already knew. The United Kingdom just pushed undergraduate tuition past $9,500 annually. The United States is sitting on a student debt crisis exceeding $1.7 trillion, with no resolution in sight. Australia tightened its international student visa caps. Canada reversed its open-door education policy almost overnight. And in the middle of all of this global disruption, Germany, with its public universities, near-zero tuition model, and 5 institutions now confirmed inside the world's top 100, is looking less like a hidden gem and more like the most strategically obvious choice an international student can make in 2026. Welcome to John's Global Guide, where we cut through the noise and tell you exactly what the opportunity actually looks like. The QS World University Rankings assess over 3,000 institutions globally and consider nearly 9,000 universities across the world. Out of all of those, Germany places 5 universities in the QS World Top 100 for 2026, led by TU Munich at number 28 globally. 5 universities, top 100, free tuition. That combination does not exist anywhere else on Earth at this scale. And today, we're going through all 5 of them with updated rankings, updated data, and the full picture of what studying at each one actually means in the current climate. Let's start at number 5. Number 5 on Germany's 2026 ranking is RWTH Aachen University. And if you've spent any serious time in international student communities this year, you already know this name comes up constantly. RWTH Aachen was established in 1870 and currently enrolls 44,382 students for the 2025-26 academic year, with an annual budget of $1,264 billion. That budget figure matters. It tells you something about the infrastructure, the research capacity, and the institutional weight behind every degree this university produces. The university's motto, Zukunft denken, meaning thinking the future, reflects its forward-looking identity as a public research institution recognized under Germany's National Excellence Strategy. What makes RWTH Aachen's position so interesting in 2026 specifically is what's happening around it. The global demand for engineering, electrical systems, and industrial technology graduates has not slowed. It has accelerated. AI-integrated manufacturing, green energy infrastructure, and smart industrial systems are all fields experiencing unprecedented investment across Europe right now. RWTH Aachen provides transparent value, approximately $1,200 in annual costs, an 90% graduate placement rate, salary ranges of $52,000 or $65,000, and an industry partnership ecosystem that enables internship to placement transitions. That placement to salary pipeline is not an accident. It's the product of a university that was built in the middle of one of Europe's most powerful industrial corridors and has spent over 150 years embedding itself into it. And in 2026, that corridor is expanding, not contracting. Now we move east, into the capital, into history. Number 4. Humboldt University of Berlin is recognized globally as one of Germany's most prestigious institutions, with deep roots in world-class research across humanities, sciences, and medicine. The names attached to this university don't just represent the past, they represent a standard of intellectual culture that shaped the modern world. Albert Einstein, Max Planck, Robert Koch, Karl Marx. 57 Nobel Prize. Laureates connected to a single institution. That is the highest Nobel affiliation count of any university in Germany. Not second, not tied. The highest. But here's the angle that the standard rankings conversation almost always misses. Berlin in 2026 is not the same city it was even 3 years ago. The European tech and startup ecosystem has continued its northward and eastward shift, and Berlin sits at the center of it. The cultural infrastructure is unmatched. The cost of living, while rising, remains significantly more manageable than Munich. And for international students specifically, Berlin consistently registers as one of the most accessible, most welcoming, and most intellectually stimulating cities in all of Europe. Humboldt doesn't just benefit from that environment. It shapes it. Its strengths in philosophy, cultural studies, history, and the humanities aren't legacy departments running on reputation. They're active, globally networked research communities producing work that matters at the highest international level. And the medical faculty, the Charité, remains one of the most respected clinical and research institutions in Europe. Period. Moving south now, and moving back in time, much further back than most people expect. Number 3. The Ruprecht Karl University of Heidelberg currently holds a world ranking of 80 in the QS 2026 standings, but the number tells only part of the story. Heidelberg was founded in 1386, That is not a detail to read past quickly. When this university was already producing scholars, most of today's most celebrated institutions were centuries away from existing. That age is structural. It runs through the partnerships, the research culture, the global networks, and the institutional credibility in a way that no amount of funding or branding can replicate in a shorter time frame. Heidelberg offers world-leading medical research, a strong international community, and a campus situated on the Neckar River, one of Germany's most visited and admired academic environments. Key programs span medicine, molecular biosciences, physics, mathematics, and international health. And here's the 2026 specific detail that changes the calculus for many students currently weighing their options. Heidelberg is located in Baden-Württemberg and charges $500 per semester for non-EU students under the state's policy. That's roughly $3,000 per year. Compare that to what universities in the UK, Australia, or the United States are charging for comparable research prestige. It becomes very difficult to argue against. For a university ranked in the global top 100, with 480 international partner institutions, active research centers across Latin America, North America, Southeast Asia, and East Asia, and a doctoral student body where more than a third are international, $3,000 per year is not a cost. It's practically an investment at a discount. In 2026, as geopolitical shifts continue to strain international research collaboration globally, Heidelberg's long-established institutional relationships give it a kind of structural resilience that newer universities simply cannot manufacture. You don't build 6 centuries of credibility in an era of disruption. Heidelberg already has it. Now we enter Munich, and the stakes move up noticeably. Number 2. Ludwig Maximilian University in Munich, LMU, is the second best performing German university in the QS 2026 World Rankings, sitting at 58th globally. This is a university that has been operating at the elite level for over 5 centuries. With approximately 51,000 students, it holds one of the largest student populations in Germany. And its 42 Nobel Prize laureate affiliations, spanning physics, chemistry, and medicine, don't just reflect past glory. They signal the sustained intellectual standard that the institution maintains and demands. For students optimizing return on investment, LMU Munich represents a compelling choice. Tuition equivalent to EU students at $170 per semester, co-leadership of the Munich Center for Machine Learning Research with access to TUM's ecosystem, and entry-level graduate salaries ranging from $60,000 to $80,000, figures that exceed the average TUM graduate salary range. That last point is worth sitting with. LMU's graduates are entering the Munich job market, Europe's most economically dynamic German city in 2026, at salary levels that recover educational and living costs within less than a year of employment. That is the financial logic of studying at LMU Munich, stated plainly. The university runs across 2 campuses. Downtown handles social sciences and humanities. The high-tech campus manages natural sciences and life sciences. More than 200 degree programs span fields from law, economics, and psychology, areas where LMU's reputation is particularly fierce, all the way to highly specialized academic territories that reflect the university's range and ambition. And LMU is not just a Munich institution in the geographic sense. It is a member of Germany's University Excellence Initiative, which means sustained, structured government-level investment in its research capacity year after year. Munich is expensive. That is a real consideration. According to the German Academic Exchange Service, students need about $934 per month in 2026 to cover accommodation, food, transport, and other living costs. In Munich, budget toward the higher end of that range, but weigh it against the salary outcomes and the equation resolves itself. Now, number 1. This is where the conversation changes entirely. The Technical University of Munich, TUM, ranks number 22 in the QS World University Rankings 2026, an improvement of 6 positions from its 2025 ranking of 28th. Read that again. Number 22 in the world, not in Europe, in the world. And it is climbing. In 2022, TUM was ranked between 50th and 37th, depending on the system. By 2025, it was at 28. By 2026, it's at 22. That trajectory is not a fluctuation. That is a university that knows exactly where it is going and has the infrastructure, the funding, and the research output to keep going there. TUM ranked first for computer science in Germany and 71st in the world in 2026, with 77th off 148 publications, and over 2.5 million citations in that field alone. Its main research topics include artificial intelligence, telecommunications, computer vision, neuroscience, and machine learning. In 2026, when the global conversation about artificial intelligence has moved from theoretical to infrastructural, when governments are writing AI policy, when corporations are restructuring entire business models around machine learning, TUM is not watching that conversation from the outside. It is generating the research that drives it. TUM hosts around 40,000 students, including a highly diverse international cohort, and offers more than 200 programs across 15 schools. Approximately 32% of enrolled students are international, making it one of the most globally diverse technical universities on Earth. And its English language program availability means the language barrier that stops many international students from considering German universities simply does not apply here in the same way it might elsewhere. For the third consecutive year, the Financial Times has named Unternehmertum, TUM's entrepreneurship ecosystem, Europe's leading startup hub. 3 consecutive years. That is not a coincidence. That is a system. TUM's philosophy of the entrepreneurial university is not branding. It is architecture. The startup ecosystem, the venture labs, the industry connections, the research to commercialization pipeline, all of it is built into how the university operates at a structural level. And the outcomes reflect it. TUM ranks 13th worldwide in the Times Higher Education Global University Employability Ranking, and 5th in Europe, behind only Cambridge, Oxford, Imperial College London, and ETH Zurich. 5th in Europe. Ahead of every other German institution. Ahead of nearly every continental European university on the employability measure that companies worldwide actually use when they are deciding whose graduates they want to hire. The admission standards are genuinely high. This is not a university that inflates its outcomes by softening its entry thresholds. Getting in is a real achievement. Staying in, surviving the early physics exams, the mathematics requirements, the computer science fundamentals, is a test of character that even strong students describe with a particular kind of earned respect. That difficulty is not a bug, it is the product. When TUM produces a graduate, every employer in Europe knows what that graduate has been through. Now pull back and look at all 5 of these institutions together in the context of what is actually happening in 2026. Over 400,000 international students are currently enrolled in German universities, making Germany the #1 non-English speaking study destination in the world. While other countries are debating whether international students are welcome, Germany is building the infrastructure to bring more of them in. Public universities in Germany charge no tuition fees, only semester contributions ranging from $100 to $400, and the German student visa requires proof of $11,904 per year in living expenses. That is the total financial commitment for accessing a top 22 university in the world. No private loan industry, no 6-figure debt, no decade of repayment. German universities punch above their ranking due to tuition-free education, strong industry ties, and excellent graduate employability. Rather than concentrating resources in 2 or 3 elite institutions the way the UK does with Oxford and Cambridge, Germany distributes quality across dozens of universities. That is a fundamentally different model. And in 2026, as the cost of the Anglo-American education model becomes increasingly difficult to justify, that model is looking less like an alternative and more like a blueprint. The 5 universities on this list, RW, TH, Aachen, Humboldt Berlin, Heidelberg, LMU Munich, and TUM, are not 5 options sitting at the same level. They represent 5 different entry points into one of the most powerful academic ecosystems in the world, each with distinct strengths, distinct cultures, and distinct career trajectories attached to them. The question is not whether they are worth it. The data on that is no longer ambiguous. The question is whether you're actually ready to meet the standard they require. Because these universities don't lower the bar for anyone. They don't need to. The students who want in badly enough, who prepare seriously, who apply strategically, who understand what they're walking into, those students find something waiting for them in Germany that very few places on earth can still offer in 2026. A world-class education, at a price that doesn't define your financial future before your career even begins. What you do with that opportunity, that part has always been entirely up to you.